Y'all know it's like it's Astrostetics. Let's get it. Y'all leave the world behind. This movie on Netflix got everybody wilding right now. With a star-studded cast starring Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Maya Hala, Kevin Bacon, Farrah McKenzie, Charlie Evans. Produced and directed by Sam Esmail and the Obamas. Oh my gosh. Y'all, when's the last time the Obamas executive produced a movie? Even the executive producers is star-studded. Let's get into this video. The movie opens up with a plane flying over. Now, y'all, this is going to be very significant. Y'all got to remember this. The movie opens up in a clear blue sky like any regular day. And if you probably look outside of your window right now, you're probably going to see a plane flying over. So when the movie opens up, it gives you this feeling like it's just any other regular day. And Amanda, who is Julia Roberts, it opens up with Amanda saying that she wants to go on a vacation. And then she books a vacation for her family. And who is her husband? Her husband is Clay. And Clay expresses that he's nervous about budget cuts. Now look, they are in a New York City apartment. They're not in the boonies. They're not in the suburbs. They're in a New York City apartment. Now we know that the New York City apartments, them prices is crazy. Good, yeah, you could pay $3,000 for a closet and the bathroom is 2 feet away. That's gonna cost you 3 racks. The setting where they are, it immediately lets us know that they are in a place where inflation is at an all-time high. In a way, I'm wondering, could they maybe represent the quote-unquote middle class? So after Clay and Amanda have a brief exchange, right? They're packing for their vacation, and Amanda expresses that she's a misanthrope. Now, a misanthrope is somebody that just doesn't like people, and sometimes they may not really fit into society in a way. On the way there, Amanda expresses that the Airbnb, because remember, they're going on a vacation for the weekend, right? The budget cuts and all of that kind of sounds a little current. So then they're on the vacation, and then Amanda expresses that on the way there, the Airbnb listing says leave the world behind. So that's where the title comes from, as they drive to leaving the world behind, both literally and figuratively. Y'all, you got to keep your symbol glasses on the whole way, all right? So, you know, they arrive at the house, and y'all know what y'all do when y'all get to a house with the Airbnb. You make it like your house. You put your stuff down where you would put them in your room, and then, you know, when you get to the Airbnb, you got to do that supermarket trip, and you get everything that you got in your fridge, and you literally turn the Airbnb into your B&B. That's what they did. So while Amanda goes to the supermarket, she stocks up, and she notices that this dude is buying mad water. Amanda is like, yo, why you buying so much water? But she doesn't say anything about it. The person buying the water may be very, very significant later. Now, on the way back to the house, there's this song called Misled playing as they get to the house, even though they're in the perfect place. Now, Clay and Amanda have 2 children, Archie and Rose, played by Farrah McKenzie and Charlie Evans. The 2 children, while they're in the car, they represent this generation and their fascination with technology. We immediately know that. However, Rose is very different, and she's extremely intuitive, as we'll see. And while she's there, she's fixated on watching a show called Friends. Now, if you front like the 80s, 90s, look, you know Friends is a legendary show. And if you're a fan of Friends, you know that the last episode is called The Last One. And then the Wi-Fi goes out. Now, when they get back to the house, the husband He want to get him some tail, right? So Amanda tell him, you got 15 minutes. Then they go to the beach. So when they go to the beach, they see a boat at first. They like, yo, that boat look kind of sus in the middle of the ocean. But then they notice that it's not a boat, it's a oil tanker. A oil tanker? Yo, oil is one of the most precious resources right now. They notice that it's coming closer and closer. Then they like, wait, nobody's in the oil tanker? And then the oil tanker actually hits the beach. The White Lion is the name of one of the ships that had the uncredited laborers in 1619. So when the ship came, the White Lion, it came in 1619. This ominous music keeps playing. And I'm gonna be honest, what's crazy, when the movie first begins, the music was pissing me off. Like, I'm not gonna hold y'all, the music was pissing me off. I'm like, yo, why y'all keep playing this music and nothing is happening? Like, I almost felt like turning the movie off for a second. But then everything started making sense. After this, they get back to the house, they playing Jenga, they drinking wine, and afterwards, G.H. Clay and his daughter show up. And he like, yo, this is my house. Now remember, Amanda explained her misanthropic tendencies already. When a random black guy pops up at the house, you're like, who are you? And then when he tells you that this is my house, you're like, no, all right. So she was mad skeptical. And then he's like, no, this is my spot. And they run him through some identification process. He has to give him his ID, everything. But they get in the house. This echoes undertones of classism and status as well. All of these things are there. GH and Ruth, they pop up because they're told that a blackout is going on. But eventually, we'll see that doesn't matter. So eventually, Amanda and Clay speak about their suspicion of GH and Ruth. And GH shows up with his daughter. His daughter's name is Ruth. But this is an undertone that there are bigger problems in the world. They're focused on their skin color. And meanwhile, it's a blackout. So while G.H. Scott and his daughter Ruth are talking in the kitchen, they tell him that it's a blackout. And this is an immediate red flag because he knows something. Did he just slip up? But right there, he doesn't want his daughter Ruth to know that anything is going on as well. So while all of this is going on, Ruth's mom is flying somewhere, right? So keep this in mind. There's a blackout going on. A oil tanker just showed up, and GH, his wife is on a plane, and he's there with his daughter, and he don't want to tell his daughter what's really going on. Remember, I told y'all, and y'all, GH Clay is played by Mahershala Ali. All right. Now, at first, we not sure if this is an apocalyptic movie. We not sure if it was another 2020 movie. The audience isn't sure at first, but what we're sure of that this is an indication that something else is going on. Now, when GH gets to the crib, right, he gets a gun when he goes inside one of the drawers. Now, the immediate thing is, why would you have a gun in the safe there? That's an immediate indication that this was always intended to be a hideout spot. So that's why I'm telling y'all, he seems a little sus. This is another red flag that Amanda's misanthropic ways come out, and she pretty much runs this dude through another questionnaire, and she want to interview him again, check his ID and run a background, check his social and everything. Real misanthropic, y'all. She don't trust nothing. In the middle of that, they get an emergency broadcast warning because there are bigger things going on than, you're mistrusting people because of their skin color. But during the emergency broadcast, they don't specify what's going on. And then this is where I'm like, man, the Obamas, they did a great job with this movie. Sam Esmail, they did a great job. Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, they did a fantastic job with this movie. After the emergency broadcast warning, they're suggesting that there could be terrorism behind it. They just throw it out there as a quick thought. Now after this, they go to the basement, and then now they're watching channel 112 on a blue screen. Here is another red flag. He's speaking with his daughter, and he has to constantly assure her that everything's going to be okay. But as he notices everything, there's also this consistent sense of anxiety. And notice that at this point in the movie, the music is playing the entire time. Now, yeah, fast forward. Rose, the daughter, still can't watch Friends. Rose and her brother, they are together throughout the movie. He's with his sister, and he's being an asshole. All right. So remember, Rose is still trying to watch Friends. Remember, it's a blackout. And then at this point, GH suspects that there's hackers behind this. Clay, the husband, leaves, and GH, he speaks with Ruth and Amanda about visiting the neighbors. Then afterwards, he starts getting alerts. And then, of course, Ruth starts pressing GH. Now, look, around this point, when GH leaves, this dude starts acting really sus. He starts to deflecting. He starts talking about the I love you bug and with the spyware. There's an exchange between Rose and her father and Amanda, and she keeps telling him that something is wrong. We forgot to mention the dares. Now, dares are great navigators. Dares are gonna steer you in the right direction. So when they get to the spot, they notice that there's two dares there. And then throughout the rest of the movie, the Rose, the daughter, keeps noticing the dares, and she keeps hearing these interesting sounds. When GH gets there and he leaves, she notices another set of dares. Clay, the husband, leaves. GH, he's speaking with Ruth and Amanda about visiting his neighbors. Now, throughout the course of the movie, you gonna notice this weird little beef between Ruth, his daughter, and Amanda. Ruth, her mom is on a plane. She don't know where her mom is at. There's a blackout. They saying the Wi-Fi is down. She has her own world of stuff going on, right? As Clay leaves, GH is speaking with Ruth and Amanda. And look, yo, this dude is sus, man. But remember, he gotta keep assuring his daughter that everything is okay. She knows that just something is wrong. Clay, the husband, he's driving through the town. And while he's driving, I noticed that there was this sign at the side that says something about eggs. And you know, eggs is one of those things that inflation, the price went up. Clay, he's going out there into the rural county. I think he's noticing he should probably turn around. But if you look at one of the radio stations that he was on, one of the radio stations was 1619. And remember that ship that we saw earlier, the White Lion? 1619 is the year that the White Lion came to the US with the uncredited laborers. So yeah, at this point, I think Clay is noticing that he should probably turn around, but Clay liked to smoke. So he's just smoking his menthol, and I think he know he should turn around, but he just keep driving. And GH goes to his neighbor's house, the Huxleys, and he can't get into contact with his wifey. He goes to the neighbor's house, and then he goes into their garage, and he tries to get a satellite phone. I think this is the point that he knew that something was a bit weird. Afterwards, his daughter Ruth comes out. So yeah, when he gets to the Huxley's house, he tries to send his wifey a text, and he can't get in contact with her. Remember, she was supposed to be on a plane. So he goes into the garage, and he gets his hand on a satellite phone. Now, y'all know when it come to Wi-Fi and the internet, satellite phones is always gonna work because they connecting directly to satellites. So he wants to go into the Huxley's house and he's trying to see if there's anybody there. No one is there. Now, while he's there, Rose is in tune. Rose is noticing all of the weird little things going on. Clay is driving out in the suburbs. Clay is driving out in the suburbs and he notices a horse willy-nilly on the side of the road. That doesn't make any sense, y'all. A horse on the middle of the road? That is someone's horse. That's a problem right there. Now, yeah, all of these little symbols might seem like they're a bit unrelatable. These stuff are very, very relative. Yeah, all of these elements are very, very relative. All of these little intricate things you think don't matter. Why they playing the music? It's all relative and substantial. Now, yeah, while they at the house, they at the pool. Archie is the son. Archie is being a thotty. They at the pool, and Ruth, GH's daughter, she take her clothes, she's walking around in her swimwear, and he's taking pictures like a little teenage thotty, man. While Clay is driving out, he comes across a Spanish-speaking woman, and this Spanish-speaking woman is wild, and she's like, "Cuate hable English." She's continuing frantically in Spanish, and he's like, "Porque no español," and she keeps speaking, and he drives off on her, and she's crying. What's going on with the migrants and the border? This is very, very significant. So Clay, he drives away, and then as he drives away, he turns back around, and on his way, he turns around because he notices some red stuff falling out the sky. And the red stuff has some writing on it, and it says something crazy in some Arabic languages. He brings the note back and he puts it in his pocket for now. While they're at the pool, Rose notices more deers. Now this is when you start noticing that something eerie is going on, as Clay is driving back with that note, and the deers keep showing up. So GH, he's at the Huxley's house, and while he's at the house, he notices that everything is crazy there. He goes to the coast and he notices a watch in the ground, and then when he picks it up, he's like, "Oh, that's somebody's arm." Now, yeah, the movie, everything started making sense. Then GH falls on the floor, and he sees a pilot captain on the floor, son. Now, y'all, this is starting to get crazy. What about that plane in the beginning of the movie? What about the plane in the beginning of the movie? Now, yeah, GH is on the beach. The pilot captain is on the floor. Then when he gets up, he notices there's mad people on the floor. Then when now, yeah, the movie's getting, he's befuddled and perturbed. He's looking around. He's wondering, what is this? And while this is happening, Clay is driving away at 120 miles per hour. And all of these weird notes is falling out the sky. This is starting to get thrilling. While all of this is going on, Clay, he's driving away. GH is on the beach, and he notices a plane is coming directly to the beach. Oh my gosh. And y'all, if there's nobody in the plane and the plane is going directly for the beach, you got, y'all, GH ran away. And this is one of the most iconic scenes in the film. He's running away from the plane. The plane is getting closer to the beach, and he runs into the house, and then the plane hits, You would expect anybody. Wait. Remember, y'all, his wife is on a flight. So what about that plane in the beginning of the movie? What happened? While we as the audience, we gotta kind of know. All right, hopefully she's okay. All of the eerie, ominous music in the beginning of the movie begins to make sense now. When GH gets back to the house, you would think that you would tell your daughter and the people there that a plane flew out the sky. But he doesn't. He tells them that he fell in the pool. This is crazy. Now, this is what I'm trying to tell y'all, that it seems like he's trying to hide something from her. And y'all, this is a red flag. You pulled up to the house looking like a pool boy. This is the 5th red flag. I'm going to be honest. GH is a little sus. So after this, things begin to calm down. And we know that nothing is calm. This does not make any sense. You got flamingos showing up in the pool. You got deer showing up. And remember, Rose is fascinated with these deers. So Rose and Archie go out into the forest, and Archie gets bitten by a tick. Now, while they're there in the woods, Rose notices another deer. And she notices that the deer is by a house. Now, remember, y'all, deers represent navigation and guidance. So she's being led by the deers, and even though she's on social media, she really just wants to watch the last episode of Friends. And this is alluding to that social dynamic with the next generation. As they're in the woods, she's noticing that the birds are flying away. And this is once again another example of nature really doing this thing. GH, he's at the house. This is when they like, yo, GH, why you looking like you went to Split Splash or something? And he tells them, he diverts. This is another red flag. And he tells them about a market pattern. He tells them that there's patterns in the market. And it's like, yo, why you not just telling us that why your clothes is wet? He deflects, and then he starts telling Amanda about patterns in the market, identifying patterns in the stocks, and then he equivocates society with hills and valleys in the financial atmosphere. He doesn't come directly out and tell them that he saw a plane falling out the sky. Now, this is when you begin to wonder, is this really about cyber teenage hackers in the Philippines anymore? Then this is where everything starts falling apart. Then he comes out clean to Amanda, and he tells her that he saw a plane nosedive out the sky. In the middle of him telling her that, Ruth, his daughter, is listening from behind the wall. You know, look, she being nosy. Ruth is all in the adult business. And then she begins to start looking at her dad even more sus. And this is how we know that GH has been hiding something the whole entire time. While GH is telling Amanda about the satellites, they hear a big sonic clap. Then they cover in their ears. They like, what? They like, did the Hulk just clap? They cover in their ears. They like, yo, this sonic boom is wilding. This sonic boom is going to be very significant later on. Amanda starts running out into the woods. She's like, F this sonic boom life is crazy. I can't live this. Everybody starts going crazy. You start noticing, all right, something weird is going on. And this brings us into the part 3 called The Noise. So we ain't really mentioned this, but this movie is split up into chapters in a way. So the third part is called The Noise. Then Rose and Archie, they find their mom in the woods. So then they go back to the house, and then they're all sitting down. And even Rose is like, yo, GH, why is your clothes wet? Yeah, GH, this is the 7th sus thing that GH did. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. This is confirming Amanda's misanthropic tendencies a little bit. We can obviously tell at this point he knows way more than he's leading on, but at the same time, he don't know where his wife is, and that's something that he's still worrying about. You know, he's there with his daughter. He has to be strong for her. So, and this whole time, Clay is not back yet. Clay is out there driving, but remember, Clay left. He came in contact with the Spanish-speaking woman, and he's driving back frantically. Now, yeah, this is when the movie starts getting crazy. They start talking about power plants and all of this stuff, and then this is when it starts alluding to these weird undertones of, I don't want to say it. At this point, while they're talking, Amanda alludes to the fact that GH is hiding something. And honestly, man, Ruth got this thing with just walking off. You know, she likes to just walk off every 5 minutes. And Amanda is like, yo, why don't you just tell your daughter the truth? And this is when Amanda, she's trying to break through and get to that practical side to GH and Ruth. Because remember, GH already told her about the plane crash. So I'm going to be honest with you. It's low-key interesting how Amanda is holding it down. Now, as they sitting in the kitchen, this is when Amanda, she starts thinking back about the guy that was at the supermarket. Remember the guy that we spoke about in the beginning when she went to the supermarket that was stocking up like 50 cases of water? Remember him? She starts thinking, wait, he knew something. And then that's when GH is like, yo, that's Danny. He's a contractor. So GH also knows that he's a survivalist. So remember, y'all, this is something that's going to come in handy again. Now, in the middle of her recollecting this, Clay pulls back up to the house, and he's like, yo, he saw something sus out there. He don't even know what to say. And he heard that noise as well. I'm wondering, if he didn't drive that far away, what took him so long to get back? I'm wondering, was he in there listening the whole entire time? Still don't really know who GH is for real. But Clay comes back, and then he shows them the note. Remember, y'all, remember the notes that was falling out the sky? Those notes, Clay brought one of them back. And GH is looking at it, and he's like, yo, this says something about harming America. And then Archie, their son, he comes and he says, yo, this says something crazy about America. And then they like, yo, Archie, how do you know this? And then he's like, bro, I saw it in a video game. A video game, y'all. They begin to suspect that they getting attacked. And then they like, yo, look, we out of here. They hop in the Jeep. You know the soccer mom four-door Jeep. And all of them get in there. So Amanda, Clay, Archie, and Rose, they get in the Jeep and they leave. They like, yo, we done with this. You got red notes falling out the sky talking about harming America. We out of here. Now, y'all, Rose, Amanda, Archie, and Clay, they leave. They like, yo, we out of here. So while they leave, they hop out. They notice that there's a bunch of Teslas piled up on the road. And then they like, wait, all of these Teslas is piled up on the road. What is that? Then Amanda goes out and she checks the model of the cars. and she notices that they're all new Teslas and they're all electric driving vehicles. So then she's like, wait, if all of these are piled up on the road, what does that mean? Then she notices another Tesla is coming down the road. So then she gets out the way. She gets in the car and gets her and her family out of the way of that pileup. And keep in mind, nobody is in these Teslas. So she had to put one and one together and get out of there. And that's exactly what she did. Now, look, if the Teslas cut the bridge off, now if you can't cross the bridge, you assed out, son. So she had to turn back around and go, and all of them, the whole family had to go back to GH's house. So they showed up like, dang, we tight. So now that they're in, so then they went back to the house, and now they're all sitting there, and now they start thinking that they probably in the middle of a war zone. Now, yeah, when they get back, y'all might notice that Archie is not down there with them. Come to find out, Archie is upstairs whacking off to them pictures that he took of Ruth while she was in her swimwear and by the pool. So at this point, Clay, the husband, he's thinking about taking a hot bath in the middle of all this. He wants to sit by the water and relax. And Ruth is like, yo, you want to smoke some pot? He's like, yo, you want to smoke? You want to hit the vape? And while they hitting the vape, they have a sus exchange, and they smoking by the bonfire. It's kind of weird. Clay and Ruth, they getting high outside by the bonfire, and GH and Amanda, they inside in the kitchen drinking wine. And the dynamic of this is a little weird, but they're drinking wine, and then they begin to have a personal exchange. And this is when GH, like, yeah, we don't know what GH does, but at this point we see that GH does business with people and of a different economic status. So he's exchanging information with Amanda, and then he pretty much spills all of it right then and there. This is when we realize that, and this is the 8th or 9th or 10th red flag. After this happens, the family comes back to the house, and look, this is when everything starts to settle in, that something crazy is going on outside. Red notes is falling out the sky. Planes is nose diving on the beaches. There's pilots on the beach. There's yeah, something is going on. Each of the characters kind of have like a bonding moment with each other. And this is when a lot of the revelations of the movie become to get revealed to the audience. So I want to let this part breathe, but this is when the characters get a practical sense of each other. All right, so I don't want to ruin that or spoil that for y'all. Now, the next major thing that happens is, yo, Archie wake up with his teeth looking crazy. His teeth is falling out his bean, son. So this motivates GH to bring Archie to this dude named Danny. Remember, y'all, this is GH's house, so he has relationships with the people that live around there. Now, remember earlier he said that Danny is a survivalist. So GH brings Archie to Danny, and before he leave, this Archie vomited on the floor. Now, yeah, this is crazy. And at this point, this is when they realize that Rose is missing. You know, Rose, the daughter, the one that's following theirs, and she just want to watch Friends. It seemed like Clay been high the whole movie, right? But when Rose go missing, this is when we begin to see some action from him. And even then, he's still on some high shit. But they bring Archie to Danny, And listen, if you was to start the movie from here, you would think that Danny is like a racist southerner. But remember, Danny is the house contractor that was getting water in the beginning of the movie that Amanda was talking about. Y'all, is the ominous music starting to make sense? Now, when GH and Clay get there, look, man, Danny said this in a New York voice. Why the f*** are y'all on my porch? Get off my porch. Listen, if you was to start the movie from right here, you would have thought that this was a different kind of movie. You wouldn't think that it would take place in Long Island. So look, remember, Danny is a survivalist, so GH and Clay want to get them some help for Archie. But then when they get there, Danny is acting crazy. So while they're there, they have a crazy exchange. And GH and Danny, look, they both strapped. And GH is like, man, why Danny don't trust me? Now look, but with this exchange, we know what's going on here. Alright? We know exactly what this is about. But make sure y'all watch the movie, because this is one of the highlights. And this is really about what are you guys doing here? How do we know that you not against us? Danny is highly skeptical. But after that exchange, right, that unnecessary good old boys exchange, I guess Clay gives him $1,000, and then Danny pretty much tells them about some bunkers that they could go to, and then he also tells them that GH tells Clay to show Danny the letter. Remember the letters that was falling out the sky that was talking about harming America? Clay shows that to Danny, and Danny says, yo, this is miscommunication. This is coming from all over the place. He saw some red letters that was written in another language already. So Danny is really not with it. He's not playing with nobody. He don't want nobody on his porch. All right? Remember earlier we said that there was a few sonic attacks, and Danny suspects that those attacks are what's responsible for Danny's teeth falling out his bean. Danny tells him about an underground bunker, and then this is when GH kind of comes clean, and he says, look, I kind of knew about this the whole time. And then he expresses that it's some crazy political thing going on. And then this is when the truth of it is revealed, what's been going on. That in the movie, it's a crazy political thing that's going on. And this is when all of the ominous music, all of the weird things that's been going on in the world, in some parts of the world, all of these things begin to collide into one moment. And then when you think about the cast of the movie and all of the brilliant people who were involved with putting this movie together, then when you look at some of the interesting things going on in the world, it's like, what are they there for? At some point in the movie, the dares, they surrounded Ruth and Amanda in the shed. So right when Danny, Clay, and GH is having that exchange on Danny's front porch, Amanda and Ruth, they get surrounded by 100 dares. And they like, yo, what's up with all these dares? But y'all know, Rose been following the dares the whole movie. What's interesting is, while the dare is surrounding Ruth and Amanda, Danny is wilding. So like when you kind of think about it for a second, both of these things is happening at the same time. And this is when you wonder, this is one of the things that GH didn't expect.
It's Astrostetics.
That's one of the things that GH didn't expect. He wasn't expecting Danny to be on that side of things. And that's when it's like, well, all of the disinformation that you was talking about, this could be a part of it. So I'm gonna keep it a bean with y'all. I think Danny was definitely just not playing, and he was protecting himself. And at the same time, GH is like, yo, we got a relationship. Like, I'm not gonna switch it up on you. I'm not on that type of timing with you. So that's why, y'all, this movie, the circumstances and the things that run synonymous with it, it's a movie that it's like a mix of a lot of movies. You're not sure if it's a psychological thriller. You're not sure if it's like an apocalyptic movie. You're not sure if it's a 2020 pandemic movie. Then you're not sure if it's a Get Out type of movie. So I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. This movie is a amalgamation of all of them. So when we looking at even things going on in the real world, and it highlights the overall tone of what's really going on, right? At the end of it, there's this exchange with Danny, GH, and Clay. And this is one of those things where it echoes people's sentiments of not being sure. The communication, all of the things, and a lot of these radical conspiracy theories that people entertain, that people tend to think makes them smart. What if a lot of these conspiracy theories are actually disinformation? And at the end of the movie, we begin to see, well, yo, who really knows? So, Danny is highlighting what preparation looks like in its most radical form. And even in that case, he was still a bit diplomatic in how he dealt with Clay and GH. Like, he told them to get off my porch, and he had an exchange and a conversation with them. But at the same time, Clay was the one to really talk some sense into him. GH had his gun on Danny. GH was like, yo, I wasn't expecting that. But even GH came prepared. But that's what's crazy, is that it makes you wonder, why would GH even leave that gun there? And then it's like, yo, he probably knew the whole entire time. So after this, we see that Danny, he actually does have something that could help Clay and Archie. He gives them some pills, and then he keeps it pushing. But that's the crazy thing. We got to do all of that for you to help him out. And yo, he took the money. So, y'all, it's a very interesting how all of these situations played out. And yeah, what's crazy is that while Danny is talking to them, he's saying that his friends in San Francisco, they're getting different messages falling from the sky. But the people on the other side, they're getting different messages that's falling out the sky. Remember that letter that said something about harming America? When Clay showed that to Danny, Danny was like, yo, the things that I'm hearing about is showing that it's in a different language. How did Danny even get in contact with him? If the blackouts is off, if the service is off. So yeah, they get in the car, and this is really when GH breaks it down in the car with Clay and Archie, and Danny is sitting on the step with his shotgun, and GH, he spills it all. He tells him about the crazy political thing going on. He tells them about all of the wild stuff that's going on in the country. So yeah, while they're in the car, this is when GH tells them about this stage 3, the 3 stages. This is when GH start telling them about synchronized chaos. GH is talking about his client, and he's like, this is why it's like, yeah, GH, he's been sus the entire movie. He knew the whole entire time. But remember, y'all, this whole time, Rose was following the deer. Rose was following the deer as she came across a house with that bunker in it. And while Ruth and Amanda was out there with the deers low key, it led them to the house. And what's crazy about that is that while they're in the house, there's a bunker where every single DVD, every TV show, every Nickelodeon Cartoon Network movie that ever came out. And remember, y'all, Rose was fixated on Friends. Rose wanted to watch Friends. So she watched it, she enjoyed herself, and check this out. Rose was there in a bunker, having a bunker buffet. And y'all, what was the name of the last episode of Friends? It was called The Last One. So while Rose is watching Friends, look, if you watch the movie, the last scene is crazy. And I'm not even going to say what it is on here. But while that thing is happening, Rose followed the deer, and she is watching the last episode of Friends in a bunker. Rose is the smartest person in the movie. Well, I don't want to say the smartest person in the movie, but whatever she was paying attention to, it led her the right way. So she rode her bike over to the Thornes house, or the Thorns' house. And the Thorns' house, they got the underground bunker in the suburbs. So y'all, this movie is next level. Make sure y'all check it out. Make sure y'all like, share, and comment. And this video is so lit. Credit the channel. Credit the content. Alright? Credit the content. Let them know that you listen, that it was some great content and you enjoyed it. And I appreciate the support. And thank y'all so much. And everyone, have a great day.